was more Jurassic Park than Godzilla.
If you just walk around doing Godzilla noises all day, people start questioning your sanity. You're like, Hey everybody, and welcome to Twin Talk, a video discussion show where twin brothers Chris and Kevin drink and draw while talking about comic books, movies, and all things pop culture. We are your hosts, Chris Hart,
Kevin Hart.
and today we're going to be talking about 2014's Godzilla.
Stick around to the end of the episode, see how our drawing of Gojira came out, and if you like what you see, subscribe to the channel for more content.
In anticipation of the upcoming Godzilla vs. Kong coming in late March, we decided to do a series of videos dedicated to the legendary MonsterVerse, as well as doing some guilty pleasures in there like the 1998 American Godzilla, which has a nostalgic piece of my heart always and will, even though it's not a good Godzilla film. And then we're going to be doing Peter Jackson's 2005 remake of King Kong. So besides those two, we're going to do those after the film comes out, but leading up to Godzilla vs. Kong, we're going to be doing 2014's Godzilla, Kong Skull Island, and Godzilla King of the Monsters. So be sure to check out those videos as well. So here we are revisiting the 2014 film by Gareth Edwards, Godzilla. I remember being hyped for this movie. It stars Aaron Taylor-Johnson, Ken Watanabe, Elizabeth Olsen, Sally Hawkins, and of course the great Bryan Cranston. And I remember being so pumped for this movie.
I was a little disappointed upon first watch, but now that we're rewatching it, it's a great movie.
Similar to Gareth Edwards' Star Wars Rogue One, the more I watch it, the more I love it, even though I liked Rogue One upon first watch too. And I even liked this movie too, but when the trailer for this movie, the teaser trailer for this Godzilla film came out, where it just showed
Where they're falling out?
Yeah, the military coming out in like the plane drop and the red smoke coming off, and you just see like it's like an extinction level, like the Armageddon basically. And then they see like, you know, Godzilla's tail and stuff, and at the end he roars and it says Godzilla. That was like the best teaser trailer I ever saw. We were all so hyped to see this movie. And then when we went to go see it in theaters, I remember enjoying the experience, but not the movie as much as I wanted to. Mm-hmm. But upon more rewatches, it gets better and better to me.
It gets better with time.
Every time I watch this movie, it gets better. I actually even prefer it to King of the Monsters.
I love that it's kind of like a monochromatic. It's a very dark movie. Even the Mutos, that's their power. They take out like anything electrical within whatever amount of the radius around them. But I just remember when I first saw this movie, I was like, I can't see a damn thing.
It was very dark.
Like everything is so dark. I was like, who's fighting who? It was like all grayscale. But I like that because it's kind of like an homage to the original Godzilla movie of the black and white. So I think that was a great creative choice.
Well, we know that if you watch the behind the scenes or special features, Gareth Edwards, he wanted this movie to be more of a like a love letter to that 1954 Gojira film, because he said he remembered watching it on like monster marathons on TV as a kid, and he loved it. Everybody knows Godzilla, just that silhouette. He's such an iconic figure, even though he's not a character that can speak or do anything with character development. He's been around since 1954, which is crazy to me. He has more films than James Bond. That blows my mind. And this again, it's just a monster that like
they do a good job humanizing him though.
Yeah.
In this series, they like, for instance, when he comes out and he falls to the ground, you can tell he's like, I'm tired.
Just shot, yeah.
Just shot. But he's kind of like, even though he's a monster, they make him out to be like the hero. That he's this balance of nature. And that he comes out when it's necessary. And I love that because that makes him kind of like the good guy in everyone's eyes. Even the dude, Ken Watanabe, what's his character? Dr. Sarazawa, I think his name was in the film. Just he's like the biggest Godzilla fanboy. He's like, we call him Gojira, and
he's just dying to see him.
In the entire movie, every scene this guy's in, he's just like,
just looking around. The first time
like
we
he's
saw
just
this,
awestruck.
And like, there's even one scene where like Godzilla's finally coming out. He's like on a Navy ship, and he's just like, I need to see this. And it's like, his life be damned. He just needs to see this creature that he's just been like, obsessed with for these years.
He had some backstory, though.
His time at Monarch, yeah.
Mm-hmm. He had some backstory that they've been trying to bomb him since the 50s. And also even the thing with his father's watch about Hiroshima and stuff.
Was his father or grandfather? Either way.
Mm-hmm. But I like the ties because that's what the original movies were like an allegory for the nuclear Holocaust and everything else that was going on back then. So, but they kind of make it more about nature in this one, kind of like these giant creatures feed off this radiation that has subsided, and so they like burrowed down to the bottom of the ocean, bottom of the earth, and I like that realistic take on this monsterverse.
Godzilla's been many forms, many things, hero, villain. In this one, they hero him up. We see that he's more. Gareth Edwards wanted to make the love letter to the original and have it be this Godzilla's a force of nature, and he's just this entity that arises whenever he's needed, and he lives underground and shows up when things need to be balanced out or taken care of, which I thought was really cool because he was kind of like this giant god in it.
Yeah, I really appreciate them kind of making this character that we've seen in so many movies, these people dressed up in these costumes on these sets, and I like seeing with today's technology what they're able to do with the monster. And this even though he wasn't in the movie for as much as I wanted him to be, this final battle between him and the two Mutos was incredible.
Mutos.
That's what the general said.
The general, okay, he's a limp white man butter. So let's talk about, upon the first watching of the theatrical release, what was your biggest disappointments with this film, and why do you like it now upon rewatch?
Because Godzilla, the main character, if you will, doesn't show up for about, I think, an hour 20, hour and change
About
in.
20 deep, and he's not even there yet.
We're still waiting for him. And even when they do, although when I first saw this, they lead up to this giant airport fight between him and the Muto, and he does his incredible roar, theater's shaking, everyone's clapping, and then it just cuts. It just cuts to
Very quick edit. Yeah.
which at first I was so pissed about, but then once I rewatched it again, there's so many good segues, very good directional decisions made in this movie between each cut and how the movie jumps. When it goes to like the monsters fighting on the TV, I thought that was epic with the dinosaurs
great,
on the
yeah.
table with the little kid.
Elizabeth Olsen's child is like, "Mommy, look, dinosaurs," and like, she'd be like, "What? You're crazy!" And then she sees there's dinosaurs fighting on
on the news.
It's just like, oh my god, yes, so much yes. And it's so incredible because like you said before, like the original, there's something always that you can just always love about the originals. Just a bunch of dudes in suits fighting, destroying cardboard cities. But once we had the money to finance a big blockbuster Godzilla film, and you see these giant titans that they call them fighting on the big screen in IMAX, and the theater's shaking, and the score by, what was his name? Alexander Desplat. His score in this movie is incredible. It's very ominous. You get that like impending doom feeling the whole time. This movie, even like there's that one opening shot in the opening sequence where they show like the bombing of the Pacific, those tests where he like comes up, Godzilla comes up, and they're trying to kill him, and it's just this giant atom bomb, and then it has like these ashes that fall, and it says Godzilla, and like the music there and everything. I was just like, I had such chills in the theater when I saw it, especially with the score going. You just know that something big is about to happen.
But then he has like these quiet moments, like for instance in the last battle with like the smoke, you just see Godzilla's tail, and there's this like little two like piano notes. It's like, ding,
Yes, yeah.
and it's like just sets up this amazing moment between the final battle royale between these three monsters.
My favorite thing about this movie is that, because this movie is very different from King of the Monsters. King of the Monster took the criticisms, I guess, for this film, and they were just like, here's your giant action blockbuster, all-out adventure. And then this one's kind of more like a little bit more horror, more slow burn. Like I said, that you have that like impending doom coming, and it keeps building and building and building until it hits a crescendo at the end, where you finally get this giant climax of this humongous fight between Godzilla and the Mutos, and we see that
San Francisco's just getting
leveled. Absolutely destroyed. And one of my favorite scenes in the entire movie is like this. They're in Hawaii, and we see like the beach, the water starts going. You see a bunch of like fish flopping around, dying.
Tsunami, yeah.
The tsunami's coming. The horn alarm is going off, and it's very eerie. And you just know, yeah, he's coming out of the water. And like that whole like, just knowing that like he just like walks out of the water and comes and fights things. I've always loved that since I was a kid. So seeing it in such a grand scale and being like, oh yeah, these people are dying because this creature's about to come out and fight whatever entity he's got to fight. So that was definitely my favorite scene in the movie. But they never show that fight. But it's a cool reveal. You see that Godzilla's foot lands right in front of the airport. He never misses a leg day.
Never misses a leg day.
Squats all day, every day. And he just lands and just gives this amazing like alpha male roar. And then they cut.
I feel like this movie is a little bit long, maybe 20 minutes too long though. It's like a 2-hour film, and the human drama was okay. Bryan Cranston died way too soon in this movie, Aaron Taylor Johnson, good looking dude, can't hold the movie to save his life.
He can't carry a tune to save his life. Joker, get him off.
Get him off.
The human drama in this movie is definitely lackluster, but I do prefer it to the King of the Monsters human drama.
Yeah, it's still a good overall story.
Yeah.
It kind of bookends. The father's trying to save his family because he's chasing this conspiracy theory that everyone thinks he's crazy, but it turns out to be right because his wife died and he kind of didn't want it to be in vain. And then he tells his son, who thinks he's crazy, that take care of your family, whatever it takes. And even Taylor Johnson, I can't say this dude's
It's a hard name. It's a hard name to say.
I can't say his name. And even Aaron Taylor Johnson says it at the end to the general, I believe. He's like, this is a suicide mission type deal. And he's like, whatever it takes, because he's trying to get back to his family in San Francisco, which is something else I liked, how international this movie was.
Yes.
It jumps around a lot, but it makes sense because these humans got to keep up with these monsters who can walk like 5 states with one single step, you know?
Like you said, like they're humongous creatures that can like travel the entire planet, and the humans are the ones keeping up to follow the action because we think we rule the earth, but these giant titans are the ones that are actually like allowing us to exist at all. And they don't care when they're stomping on you. It's just Godzilla's just living. He's just surviving.
Yeah. The arrogance of man is thinking that nature's in their control.
Let them fight.
Let them fight.
The opening sequence in this film is brutal, very emotional, and like I feel like the acting, the human development in this movie has more emotional weight because of the family aspect of it all, and just the acting. Bryan Cranston like carries this film, literally
Screaming his head off.
Yeah, he's like, "My wife died here, and I have a right to know." It's gonna send us back to the Stone Age.
Every single line, the dude is screaming at the top of his lungs.
Overacted every line he had, but it works, man. It works because you just feel like this sense of dread and like
no one's believing him.
yeah, and like when he watched his wife die right in front of him, like trying to prove that there's this like seismic activity, which eventually does turn out to be this giant Muto sucking radiation out of this nuclear plant, and like that scene is so brutal when his wife dies. He's just like.
Yeah.
Like puts his hand up on the window and she dies with all that like radiation and stuff.
Doesn't even get
knowing
to say
her
goodbye.
body's still out there.
Yeah, I know. And
he has no picture. Yeah, he's got no picture of it, no proof of his wife. Like that's so sad. So he definitely carried the emotional weight of this film. I like too that Bryan Cranston like knew some like Japanese, and like worked in Japan and stuff. Like that was cool to me. It's like the Americans are making this film.
Yeah,
let's remember the roots of this
He's
character.
on the phone. He's like, no. Let's talk about that scene though with the army free falling down into the chaos. Beautifully directed, beautifully shot, of them kind of like descending into hell with these free falling with the red streaks coming down, and the POV and the sense of urgency, even with the humans breathing. You just hear him breathing, and his breathing gets faster as he sees these giant monsters fighting, and they got to avoid skyscrapers to get this nuclear bomb out and everything. It was crazy stakes.
And even the score, it's just like opera, like and it's like
Epic.
building up this like this humongous event that's happening. It just shows the perspective of like the military, the humans, how small they are compared to this giant, creature like Godzilla. He's just like doing battle, and they see him like out of the corner of their eye, and he's just like leveling the city. It's so great. It really is.
Even when the Golden Gate Bridge scene, that's another great scene of them kind of seeing from the human perspective this giant monster, and the kids' reactions on the bus is like very.
They're like screaming in terror,
screaming their heads off.
Crying.
Whoever was screaming, that was the most well acted child actor I've ever heard.
Because like at first they were like cool. They see all the tanks and stuff. Like any kid would be like, "That's awesome," like. And then they see these monsters and like all this destruction going on around them, and it's like literal.
That's
terror.
a great scene. Yeah.
And I'm a sucker for any Godzilla movie that has like a rain sequence.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the final fight. When I first saw this movie, I was a little let down about the Mutos. I was like, I was kind of hoping for the fan favorite villains, but knowing like the legal rights and all that stuff, it like lessened the blow. So for what they are, I really like the Mutos. They're pretty cool.
They kind of reminded me of like how they walked, like the Cloverfield monster, which was pretty cool.
Clover, yeah. Looking back on it, like it was a cool story how they had them. Like one was male, one was female. And they were like laying this nest, and they were going to make more of these things, which obviously couldn't happen. So that's why Godzilla shows up, and he just like, clocks in.
Alpha.
He clocks in and does his thing and then goes home. And I love how this movie ends. Like after all that destruction, like they're fighting, Godzilla just lands. He's like shot.
Takes like a 20-day nap.
Yeah, and then he just wakes up and then just goes into the bay, and you see his dorsal fins, and then just silence. And I was just like, wow, that's great. Like, this like godlike event just took place, this humongous battle, and then he just like disappears into the ocean to go sleep again. It's like that's incredible with the music. Dun 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 dun. So great. That moment though that we all waited for in the theater. You just see the blue light up on his tail, and you hear the noises like wong wong.
Yeah, it was amazing.
And everybody in the theater was like, "He's gonna do the thing! He's gonna do the thing! He's gonna do the thing! Bro, do it!
He did the
do the
thing!"
thing!" And then he just like lights him up with the atomic breath. And then how he ends the fight is he just opens the Muto's mouth and blows the atomic breath into his stomach, and then it like rips the head off, and he just drops the head, and then lets out this like alpha male roar, and incredible.
Which was, again, another cool segue, is Aaron Taylor Johnson's character is kind of falling from all the chaos he's just been through to get to his family. And then Godzilla 2, they both kind of fall simultaneously, which, again, chef's kiss. Amazing direction.
Godzilla was like, I'm sleep. So anyways, nothing but love for the Big G. We love this guy. He's an icon.
The OG.
Yeah. And this movie, it gets better for me every time I watch it. It definitely has a great rewatchability factor to it.
Definitely.
And when you look back at the MonsterVerse in the films like that they've made, they do make sense, which is good, which shows that they definitely had a better plan than DC.
It's a good cohesive story for these monsters. I wish that the DCU could watch and learn from Marvel and even this legendary MonsterVerse.
We're definitely hyped. We're riding the hype train for Godzilla vs. Kong late March. Stick around for our upcoming videos. The next on deck is going to be Kong Skull Island. We've both been rewatching these films in anticipation of this, so stick around for that. This was fun to do, and we're definitely looking forward to those videos as well.
Anyways, that about wraps up today's episode of Twin Talk. If you liked the video, give it a thumbs up, comment below to join the discussion, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more content. We'll see you next time. Peace!